Hello again, advisory. Um, I was thinking this might be a very appropriate time to keep reading Who Moved My Cheese. If you remember from advisory, we talked about how in this book, your cheese is what makes you feel happy and successful. And there were four main characters in this book, Who Moved My Cheese. There's Hem and Haw, which are the little people in the maze. Um, they are looking for cheese, and Sniff and Scurry were the two little mice. They are also in the maze looking for cheese. And if you remember the first half of this book, it talked about how Hem, Haw, Sniff, and Scurry, they all found their cheese in the maze, and they were very happy with their cheese until suddenly one day the cheese was gone. And everybody was shocked. The cheese that had always been there had vanished. Sniff and Scurry decided, well, doesn't look like the cheese is here anymore. Let's look around and find new cheese somewhere else in the maze. So they went off running into the maze. Hem and Haw took a little bit longer deciding what they were going to do about this no cheese situation. At first they waited, thinking the cheese had to be put back, or maybe they were looking in the wrong part of the room, or maybe it was behind a wall. And that's kind of where we are picking up right now. So, we left off here. Smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old. Sometime later, after not finding cheese for what seemed like a long time, Haw finally came across a huge cheese station, which looked promising. He went inside. However, he was most disappointed to discover that the cheese station was empty. This empty feeling has happened to me too often, he thought. He felt like giving up. Haw was losing his physical strength. He knew he was lost and was afraid he would not survive. He thought about turning around and heading back to Cheese Station C. At least, if he made it back, and Hem was still there, Haw wouldn't be alone. Then he asked himself the same question again. What would I do if I weren't afraid? Haw thought he was past his fear, but he was afraid more often than he'd like to admit, even to himself. He wasn't always sure what he was afraid of, but in his weakened condition, he knew now he was simply fearful of going on alone. Haw didn't know it, but he was running behind because he was still weighed down by his fearful beliefs. Haw wondered if Hem had moved on, or if he was still paralyzed by his own fears. Then Haw remembered the times when he had felt his best in the maze. It was when he was moving along. He wrote on the wall, knowing it was as much as a reminder for himself as it was a marking for his friend Hem, hopefully to follow. Movement in a new direction helps you find new cheese. Haw looked down the dark passageway and was aware of his fear. What lay ahead? Was it empty? Or worse, were there dangers lurking? He began to imagine all kinds of frightening things that could happen to him. He was scaring himself to death. Then he laughed at himself. He realized his fears were making things worse. So he did what he would do if he wasn't afraid. He moved in a new direction. As he started running down the dark corridor, he began to smile. Haw didn't realize it yet, but he was discovering what nourished his soul. He was letting go and trusting of what lay ahead for him, even though he did not know exactly what it was. To his surprise, Haw started to enjoy himself more and more. Why do I feel so good? He wondered. I don't have any cheese, and I don't know where I am going. Before long, he knew why he felt good. He stopped to write on the wall again. When you move beyond your fear, you feel free. Ha realized he had been held captive by his own fear. Moving in a new direction had freed him. Now he felt the cool breeze that was blowing in this part of the maze, and it was refreshing. He took in some deep breaths and felt invigorated by the movement. Once he had gotten past his fear, it turned out to be more enjoyable than he once believed it could be. Ha hadn't felt this way for a long time. He'd almost forgotten how much fun it was to go for it. To make things even better, Ha started to paint a picture in his mind again. He saw himself in great realistic detail, sitting in the middle of a pile of his favorite cheeses, from cheddar to brie. He saw himself eating the many cheeses he liked, and he enjoyed what he saw. Then he imagined how much he would enjoy all their great tastes. The more clearly he saw the image of himself enjoying new cheese, the more real and believable it became. He could sense that he was going to find it. He wrote, "Imagining myself enjoying new cheese, even before I find it, leads me to it."